With market research, it is valuable, but it cannot predict everything. There are times when something just comes out of left field and it proves to be a hit in developing a core audience base. In situations like this, having the fan base do the work for you in finding errors and then freely sharing it is always a good thing. Greetings and welcome to Checkpoint Gaming Gaslands. With this episode, it will be going over some loopholes that we came across that we felt are worth addressing. With the first loophole we will be looking at has to do with the recording of audience votes. Although most people will record their audience vote when they initially obtain them, there have been players who have forgot to record their audience votes and remembered them later in the game. In addition to this, a player in our group told us of an experience he had where he was playing Gaslands with some other people where one of them wrote down their audience votes when they initially obtained them, but then later thought that they forgot to record them. This player then asked if it was alright if they recorded the audience votes. We'll be giving this player the benefit of the doubt, and they generally forgot that they recorded the audience votes, but it helps to underscore the situation we're bringing up here. In order to make this better, an official rule should be released stating that the player will need to record their audience votes at the moment that they were obtained. If not, then said audience vote or votes will be deemed to have been lost. The second loophole we will be looking at has to do with head-on collisions with terrain when said piece of terrain is a non-destructible obstacle. With such collisions, we think that the vehicle should come to a complete stop and have its gear be reduced to 1. A new player pointed this out to us while we were doing a 101, so if someone completely new to the game is able to see errors and loopholes found in the mechanics, it seems egregious, at least to us. There was also a Gaslands battle report that we watched where someone used the ignore rule to essentially transport to the other side of a building, which was only able to be achieved by using a long straight. With the current status of the rules, that was perfectly legal to do, but it came across as violating the principle of the rule, if not the strict letter of it. So in order to correct this, we think that the rule should be that if a player engaged in a head-on collision with a non-destructible obstacle, then the vehicle should basically have to skid to a halt, and the only way for it to get out of the situation is to go in reverse. But if the head-on collision or a sideswipe collision occurred at an angle, then the player is allowed to use a turn template to get out of the situation and to have the ignore rule be in play. If it was a sideswipe that occurred where the vehicle is parallel with the object side, then the player is allowed to use a straight with the ignore rule in play. It's just turning into the obstacle that isn't allowed. The third loophole has to do with the slide exit point. This is a bit of a low tier problem, but still worth mentioning. The loophole is should the slide exit point be treated as a solid piece and recognized only when inserting the slide template, or should it be treated as an open area and anything found inside of it be ignored by the vehicle? We're favoring that the template should be treated as a solid, contiguous piece, with the slide exit point only being recognized when the slide template is being inserted into it. Yes, this is a very niche situation, but we think it is something worth addressing just so that we have an officially published ruling regarding the matter. And the rule of carnage is fine for the time being. We just thought that it was something worth pointing out. The fourth loophole has to do with cover, where there is the possibility that a vehicle can be behind partial cover and the rules don't explicitly state what constitutes as partial cover. Yeah, it can be argued that it is addressed indirectly regarding the use of shooting templates to see if it is blocked by the terrain, but we're looking for something more concrete than that and have what constitutes as cover and partial cover officially addressed. For this series, we used our particular group's house rule for clarification purposes, but this should be officially addressed and covered in a future errata. The fifth loophole has to do with the titling of return fire. Due to the description of it, it would be better to call it preemptive fire since it allows the target vehicle to fire first instead of the attacking vehicle. It could also be called Overwatch. This would be a less substantial thing, just saying that the name should be changed if it wasn't due to the fact that one member of our play group is getting hung up and refuses to get past the title of the perk and recognize the description. Even when we, as a group, have said, hey, this is the description and we're going with that, this individual still gripes about it and brings it up in every game. So this player is that guy of the group, and to help prevent other people from having to deal with this, plus the overall concept of the perk that the title isn't the best fit, although this is a distant secondary concern, we would like to see the name of the perk changed. The sixth loophole has to do with the pit perk. We think that it would be a good improvement to include weight class restrictions to it since, at least to us, it would make sense for a lightweight motorcycle to successfully perform the pit against a heavyweight monster truck. So with that said, we suggest that lightweight vehicles can only perform pit against other lightweight vehicles, middleweight vehicles can only perform pit against light and middleweight vehicles, and heavyweight vehicles can perform pit against all weight classes. Regarding motorcycles and motorcycles with sidecars performing pit, we'll leave it up to those in charge of game publication to decide if they are willing to allow them to perform it. In addition to this, we'll also let them decide if four rigs or vehicles with a trailer can be the target of a pit. Before we end this episode, there's one last thing we would like to talk about. This one last thing isn't a loophole, but we just felt like mentioning it. With side-mounted weapons, an advanced rule can be added where it allows for optional determination of which side it will be mounted on. But this is just us throwing an idea out there for people to think about and discuss with zero expectation for it to be addressed. So with that said, those are the loopholes that we came across during gameplay and would like to see addressed in some capacity in a future errata. If you liked this episode, feel free to give it a like, and if you want to stay up to date on any future episodes that we upload, go ahead and subscribe. You can also support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/checkpointgaming. See you in the next episode, and happy gaming.